Episode 9 of the Daddyless Issues podcast. The title of this episode is Baby Mama Drama. The piece of the puzzle today is don't allow issues between parents to affect your relationship with your children. Let's get into it. Let's start this episode imagining that there are two people who really don't know each other. They don't have much in common and really have no intention of being in a relationship with anyone, let alone one another. Imagine if the two of them go out on a date. They have a few drinks and they go back to his place for a midnight rendezvous, believing, they may never see one another again. The thing is, this single encounter resulted in a pregnancy. She looked him up on Facebook and tells him the story. He doesn't want a baby, and neither did she. However, she's told a procedure to get rid of the child would kill her. And so she tells him she's having the baby. He says he wants nothing to do with it. He tells her, everybody needs a deal up front, so don't call me anymore. The baby is born, and she decides to keep it, not giving it up for an adoption. She goes down to the courthouse to the child support office, gives them his information, and the court issues for him to pay support. He figures since he has to pay support now, he wants the right to visit the child. But mama says no. He makes his payments on time, and now he's filing for shared parenting with this court. And the court begins by granting visitation. He tries to go and see the child based on the order, but mom refuses to allow him to see the child. They go back and forth to court. Mom is now held in contempt of the court's order for not allowing him to see the baby. She does a few days in jail because she still refuses to let him see the kid. Then she gets out, and when the father comes to see the child, they argue, and a fight breaks out between the child's father and mom's new boyfriend. The police are called and both men are arrested for assault. They both do a few days in jail and they both are released. Then the cycle of drama continues for years. And in many cases, it even gets worse. And this is just a made up story, something that I came up with for the podcast. But how many of you are familiar with situations like this? Or some that are even more extreme? Is this actual baby mama drama, or is this something else? Who's at fault? Let's talk about it. Put it in the comments. So issues of so-called baby mama drama go on all the time. When we look at the numerous reasons some men say they are not in their child's lives, the topic of baby mama drama is on the top of the list. You may be asking, what is baby mama drama? These are situations where issues between a child's mother and father negatively impact on the father's relationship with their child. It's dramatic in that there's a good amount of acting and theatrics in the mother's behavior, especially when it comes to the father. There's conflict and a lot of emotion involved. That's the title of the episode, Baby Mama Drama. Jealousy, anger, bitterness, envy, and in some cases, hatred are all the hallmarks of these interactions. This is not to say that these emotions are only being exhibited by the child's mother. Not at all. The father can be just as emotional and dramatic. Many times, these emotions can lead a father to being denied access to their child, though. And that's what I want to talk about. Now, when the story of why a father was absent from their child's life is told, it's told from one side, usually the mother's. That's because the father doesn't have access to tell his side of the story. Sometimes the story that the child is being told can be distorted and untrue. It's so distorted that it poisons the way the child sees their father. If the poisonous lies are believed, the child may not want anything to do with them, even if he wanted a relationship with them. So the poison can partly be a cause of this daddylessness situation being perpetuated. Let's shift a little bit. Let's talk about a co-parenting situation. When you think about raising healthy children, many people believe it takes two parents. I definitely believe having two parents contributing equally to the development of their child has a lasting impact on who they ultimately become. Now, this is not to say a healthy child can't be raised by a single mother, but I believe in order for them to be well rounded as a child, they need to get both a male and female perspective on life. Now, why do I believe this? Well, I think it's important to be familiar with more than one side of a story or a situation, to see how it works and what was really going on. This allows a person in some circumstances to examine all sides of the matter. If you grow up with just one viewpoint, this can affect your decision making and growth. Also, your ability to understand others is intimately related to the way you see them and their situations. And if you only hear or see one side of the story, it can make you prejudiced and biased towards the one view, taking for granted any others. And getting information from more than one source in some cases can help in escalating the matter and helping you to evaluate the matter too. Why is this so important when you're a daddyless child experiencing baby mama drama? Well, imagine for a moment you're a young kid being raised by your mother. She's the only parent you have known all your life. And you were told that your father was a deadbeat who never wanted anything to do with you. He denied you since the day you were born, is what you're told. This is what you've been led to believe your whole life. But now in reality, your father has been doing everything in his power to see you and be a part of your life. Come to find out, he was a hard-working, responsible man who wanted nothing more than to be a father. Your mother has been lying to you. She's been fighting with him in court, but you never knew about it. She didn't want him to have access to you. She didn't want him to have visitation or any type of parental rights. She just wanted money. The thing is, in many of these situations, if the courts don't step in, the fathers may not ever get to know their child unless and until the child comes of age and seeks out their father on their own. Now, alternatively, the mother years later may have a change of heart and ask the child if they want to get to know their father. In some cases, these reconciliations come late and the damage to the relationship is already done. The poison has done its damage and the differences are irreconcilable. The child is left confused and unsure of how and who to believe and how they should feel, since all they have known is one side of the story. Obviously, once the truth comes out, it can lead to animosity and anger towards their mother. Just think about it. Anyone who's so vindictive as to lie to their children about their father must have some serious emotional issues. So this situation can create a wedge between the mother and the child. She has been lying to them for years. Years they missed out on with their dad. Years they can't get back. And the other thing about these reconciliations is the lack of trust these children will have in their father when the relationship starts. They don't know this man. They don't know his life or what he's into. And even though the child may have been told the truth, in the back of their mind, there still may be doubts about him. The situation is already awkward enough, but added lies have amplified the lack of trust. Obviously, this makes the father's job of creating a strong bond with the child even harder. This may sound cruel, but this is the type of drama I'm talking about. You may be asking yourself, how can a woman be so hurtful and hateful as to deny a man his right to be a father? Unfortunately, it happens every day. While lies and allegations of abandonment may be one situation, there are instances where the parents previously got along and have been together but broke up and are now trying to co-parent. Sometimes these situations can be very toxic. Unfortunately, there are some parents whose relationships are so damaged and so toxic that working together becomes almost impossible. It's in these situations that the authorities have to be involved. Court orders for visitation and support have to be drawn up. Shared parenting agreements have to be followed in order for the parents to see their child. It's shameful that two adults who at some point liked one another enough to have sex now can't even be in the same room, let alone raise their child together. This is why it's so important that you use your best judgment and discretion in deciding who you sleep with. If you can't trust them with their own child and don't really like them enough to have them in their life, at least in a peripheral way, you shouldn't be lying down with them. And listen, I'm not here to judge, but if you don't use good judgment in these situations, someone else in a court of law will. It should never be that because a mother and a father can't get along that their child has to suffer. Co-parenting can create a good amount of baby mama drama. Decisions related to where the child will go to school, who they will live with, clothes being bought, food being provided, where money should be spent, among other things, can all be the catalyst for fights and arguments. And in these situations, you have to ask, why can't they get along? In some cases, there may be some unresolved feelings about what happened in the relationship between the parents. For example, infidelity. If the mother or father were cheated on, they may have lingering hard feelings and issues with the other person. Sometimes these issues are transferred over to how the relationship with the child is handled. If they feel the person was disloyal with them, then how will they be with the child? They feel like lies and deceit were the other person's mode of operation during the relationship, who's to say they can continue or won't continue this pattern when dealing with the issues related to the child. When the father is a cheater and the mom has custody of the child or the children, then this can result in her keeping them from him. The question becomes, is she really concerned with what he might teach the child or how he might treat them, or are there just some anger and frustration issues that mom hasn't gotten over? So she used the child to control the situation. Alternatively, if she was the cheater, she may hold the child over his head in an attempt to get him back, get something out of him, or just be vindictive and hurt him. These things happen all the time. And the end result is that the child will suffer in the end. So another reason for baby mama drama is lingering feelings or an unwillingness to let go. There are always people who refuse to allow a situation to end. Some folks feel like because there's a child involved, you'll have to be together. I'm all for, families being together, but if there is such a toxicity that it will do more damage than good, I say let it go. Some people, this is easier said than done, right? Then there are those women who live by the idea, if I can't have him, no one can. These situations can be extremely toxic because they can lead to restraining orders, physical altercations, property damage, and other things that might prohibit the two parents from even, coming into contact with one another. Sometimes, when these situations become physical, they result in very serious and negative consequences, like people being hurt or even unalive. In my opinion, there is no amount of love that will cause me to lose my freedom unless it involves someone I love being hurt or unalive. Then all bets are off. But many of these cases don't involve anything that deep. Most of the time, it's just jealousy or envy related to what the other person has achieved or what they may have, meaning advancements in their lives, new jobs, new businesses, new houses, new cars, etc., or new relationships, girlfriends or wives or influential people. These are the things that are intolerable for the other person to accept. These individuals may feel like they are missing out on something that was supposed to be theirs. They use the child in an attempt to manipulate the other person into doing or giving them what they want. If you don't do these things for me, then you won't get to see your child, is usually the play. If you don't pay my rent or take care of my other kids, you won't see yours. Even if the man is paying child support for his child, the expectation is that the mama will maintain a certain lifestyle, even though the two of them aren't together. So the child is cast in the middle of all of this drama. Now, let's change gears. What if they're still smashing? Having sex. So another catalyst for baby mama drama is the two parents are still smashing, having sex, or whatever it's called today. These situations can be confusing and very difficult for the child to comprehend because their dad is in and out of the house, but not in a relationship with their mother. I guess these situationships is what it's called. I don't know. Anyway, dad pops over for a quick visit, a booty call, just to have his child watch him leave out without spending any time or spending the night with them, or maybe very little. Or he may spend the night periodically, but then he's gone again. Again, these situations are puzzling for the child. Are they getting back together or aren't they? It can sometimes create a false hope for the child that their parents might reunite and they can be a family again. Daddy's here one day and gone the next. The drama comes in when dad has his own girlfriend or another girlfriend or even a wife and a family. Maybe mama is left feeling used and taken advantage of when he says he's going back to his old lady. Her feelings of rejection become wrath and fury. Even if he never lied and said that they were going to be together, she may have hoped it would happen. And when it didn't, all hell broke loose. Here comes the drama. Oh, so I'm good enough to sleep with, but not good enough to be with. The arguments increase, and then there comes the exposure, the Instagram and Facebook posts or social media, the telephone calls and text messages to the man's significant other letting her know of his infidelity. And in some of these circumstances, the child's mother discounts her whole role in the betrayal while condemning the man. But the worst part of it all is that the child is thrust right into the middle of the chaos. Now, I understand that people can still have feelings for one another, and sometimes it can result in maintaining a sexual relationship. However, these circumstances in some cases end badly. More than that, though, a child's relationship with their father should not be a consequence of a continued bad decision on their parents' part. The sexual relationship between mama and daddy should not have anything to do with the child. Don't allow your personal issues with one another to negatively impact on the relationship a child has with their father. Don't use your child as a pawn in an effort to get revenge. So the other issue comes about when the two of them aren't together and there is another significant other. So who you got around my kids? The drama associated with new relationships that parents may have can cause baby mama drama. When we think about baby mama drama or drama between parents, the fact that one or both parents have moved on with their lives to new partners or marriages comes into play. The fact that the person has moved on can be a problem for some people. And so they try to find things to take issue with. The question of who you got around my kids comes up, which could be legitimate, but questions about who this person is, how long have you known them, what's their background, are all valid questions. Any good parent is going to want to know who is going to be around their child or children for safety reasons. But again, these questions can lead to baby mama drama. For some folks, these questions can be intrusive. Asking, are the two of you serious, or is she staying over at your house, or where are you going with my child, can all be very private questions. Some men may view these as, intrusive and infringing on their privacy. They may also see these questions as insulting because they're questioning his ability to properly, vet people he has in his life. He may feel as though it is insulting because it gives the impression that he doesn't have good judgment in the people he has around him. So depending on the relationship between mom and dad, as well as the timing and the way the questions are asked, baby mama drama may arise. So reasonable and valid questions can become a serious source of drama. The thing is, if you don't trust his judgment, then why did you sleep with him in the first place? You trusted him enough to lay down with him and let him enter into your body. So now you want to ask questions about the type of people he hangs around. It seems kind of weird. This is not to say that people don't change to a point where you feel you don't know them. That can definitely happen. But if you go into the parenting situation not knowing the other parent in the first place, you are leaving yourself and your child in a vulnerable position. All right, I'm going to shift gears and talk about lingering feelings. She wants that old thing back. If there are unresolved feelings between mom and dad, those probing types of questions can be perceived as attempts to poke into the lives of their new significant other in order to cause them problems or even break them up. If there are lingering feelings, this can lead to an unwarranted dislike of the significant other in instances of them clashing. The issue in most instances are not about the other people. It's about wanting that old partner for themselves or controlling them. She may feel like if I can't have him, then no one can. Thus, she is out to shut down any relationship he gets into, especially if it gets too serious. Unfortunately, there are women out there who are willing to use whatever means they have at their disposal to sabotage any new relationship their baby's father may have. Some of these women actually put more energy into the sabotage than they did into the relationships when they were with them. Most people don't want to be told who they can and cannot date or be with, especially men. So it can be expected that men will have issues with the questions of, who do you have around my kids? They will most likely push back and resist any insinuation that they aren't a good judgment of character. Many will take on the attitude, you can't tell me what to do. Now, if you have a practical man who understands that there are no lingering feelings and no desires to know his business, but that she is just interested in the safety and well-being of their child, then these questions won't bother him. But you got to take that into consideration as things develop. Now let's talk about the new significant other and how the baby mama drama can go. Obviously, these types of questions can impact on the father's relationship with the new partner as well. Questions like, why is she asking about me? Why does she want to know my business? And who does she think she is questioning who I am? They all come to mind. The new person feeling insulted because the mother doesn't feel comfortable with their child being around someone when their dad is with. The new person may feel that there's a lack of trust of them and it's unwarranted. Or they may have concerns that mama is probing just to create division between the two of them. I'm sure there have been countless arguments about the relationship between the baby's mama and the daddy. She may question whether they still have feelings for one another. I mean, and they do have a baby together. Does the baby mama still want to be a family? Is there something still going on between them? And why am I being restricted from being with my man just because she has some issue with me being around their child? Now there may be some resentment towards the child. She may feel mama is asking all these questions and putting up all this resistance just to control her man in their relationship. And again, this can lead to altercations between the mother and the new woman. All this has the child caught up in the middle of these unhealthy interactions. For some women, all the drama is just too much, and they will avoid a man who has children because they don't want to deal with the baby mama drama. So that's a negative outcome for the father. They just don't want to deal with the insecurity and volatility of two people who may be having sex now and then, or still have feelings for one another, using the child as a go-between, leaving her out in the cold. So they just avoid it altogether. A woman who is willing to enter into a situation where a man has baby mama drama is a special kind of person. She has to have thick skin and be very understanding. She also has to be trusting and have a discerning spirit, because if she doesn't, all the drama will cause her to question her relationship with the man and ask herself, is it worth it, all of this drama? Her ability to understand and distinguish between what is legitimate and what isn't is going to be extremely important in how she addresses the relationship. Fortunately, having baby mama drama is not a deal breaker for some women. But honestly, it takes a very strong, intelligent, and patient woman to get through these situations. All right. Moving on, baby mama drama and the gold digger. For some men, baby mama drama really gets real when it comes down to the issue of child support. Now, I am not saying that paying child support or being responsible for child support is part of a woman being a gold digger. That is not what I'm saying, and I want to be clear about that. But the issue of money and paying for a child can really be an issue of contention for some parents. Men being referred to as deadbeats and not taking care of their seed has been a problem forever. But what about those instances where he is paying support for his child, but the mother is always claiming it's not enough? Those instances where he is made to feel like he is financing her lifestyle, not that of his child. It's in those instances where she has high fashion while the child looks like their clothes are being brought from a thrift store. Or what about those situations where mom doesn't know how to manage her money, the money that the father is paying for child support, and she still wants him to pay more? He's met with court-ordered responsibilities for the child, but mom is still coming back talking about he needs or she needs clothes, a coat, or some other things that weren't discussed ahead of time. What if she thinks that they should be living in a penthouse when she only has a one-bedroom apartment type of money? What if she wants a Mercedes but can only afford a Kia? What if she sees the father's current girlfriend or wife with nice jewelry, clothes, or a car because she is with him and she thinks she should have the same? Or consider the woman who just had a kid with him to get the bag. She saw him as a payday, and the baby is how she's going to get it. What happens when he refuses to pay more than what was ordered? What happens when he doesn't want to finance her lifestyle? That's when the drama comes. What kind of drama, you may ask? Well, There are the social media posts, as I mentioned, about how bad of a father he is. And there may be the recurring visits to the courthouse and, trying to get support orders increased, or about not allowing him to see his child for extended periods of time, making excuses about where the child is. Maybe it's the poisoning of the child's mind, where she is telling the baby that daddy doesn't want to see you. But in reality, she is withholding the visit, and now he has to take her to court or call the police so that he can see his child. Then there are maybe the false allegations of abuse or claims of failed visits, of harassment. These are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to allegations and reasons why men are prevented from seeing their children, when there is a manipulative and diabolical woman who only really wants money. She doesn't care if he sees the child or not. She only wants to be paid. She feels she deserves all that he has, even if they're not in a relationship. Some of these women really don't care about the child. They just want the benefits from having it around in order to fund their lifestyle. It's crazy when the baby game becomes the hustle. So, how many of you have been involved in these baby mama drama situations? Tell us your story in the comments. I'm sure there's some wild ones out there. So, as a final note, please don't get it twisted. Much of the drama I am imposing on mothers can also be charged to dads. I'm not picking on mothers specifically in this episode, but I do want you to realize that some of your behaviors are just as damaging and impacting on your children, and they can be the reason for some of the daddyless issues your children may deal with in their lives. I hope that before the baby mama drama can even begin, you think about what is important in these situations, and that's the child. The child should never be put in the middle of pettiness. They should never be made to choose between their parents. You should always consider the best interest of your child. While I may be speaking about baby mama drama in general, I want everyone involved to understand that violence, one, and manipulation, two, are not the answers to whatever issues you might have to deal with. Trying to take advantage of someone or using a child as a pawn in some twisted game of revenge should not be a method to address your problems. I absolutely believe parents should take care of their children emotionally, spiritually, and financially. But we also need to remember that the things our child can see can definitely affect who they become. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you can trust and believe that if lying, fighting, accusing, and manipulating are the skills of your choice for their parents, you can expect that these can and will rub off on their offspring. As always, this is the conclusion to this episode. If this episode or any other episodes have spoken to you, please remember to like, follow, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next episode. Also, remember to get a copy of the book, Motivation by me, your host, Dante Brown. It is available on barnesandnobles.com and on amazon.com.